This is 𝐾𝐚𝐧. I'm 31 years old. I'm calling in from Cedar City, Utah. We primarily run a horseback trail ride for guests. Normally they're visiting Zion National Park. We're pretty close to that. And so we take people on a horseback trip.
So you have a horseback riding trail. So is this a ranch you own? Is this like Yellowstone, like the Kevin Costner situation? Or what?
I need to watch Yellowstone one of these times, everybody feels. But we don't run cattle except maybe about 12 head. It helps me make better cow horses, cutting the herd work.
Don't know what that means, but
Okay.
So you're near Zion National Park, which is a park that people like to visit. Right. And when they visit, I imagine
about 6 million a year.
So a lot of people like to visit it. And I imagine that one of the things they like to do when they visit is go horseback riding, correct?
Yes, it is.
So how much did you make, let's just say last month, doing this?
Hardly anything compared to other months. Last month, I believe I'd been grossing probably $6,500.
Why $6,500 rather than $12,000, $20,000? Why?
Not as many people come. For example, in 2021, which was my best year, that number was more in the 28,000 range.
What's the difference between 28,000 and 60? Like, what's the difference?
The difference is the amount of people, just volume, the amount of people that come and do a trail ride. I can take up to 10 people at once. There were so many days in June and July, which is very unusual, where I would have nobody or maybe 2 or 3 people instead of 15.
Are there other ranches that are actually getting the business?
Oh, yeah.
All right, now we're getting somewhere. Yep. Why do you think the other ranches are getting the business and you're not?
The one big thing, now I say I'm near Zion. I'm actually north of it. Most people go to Springdale, the west entrance of Zion. I'm an hour and 10-minute drive from that, whereas much of my competition is right there.
Location.
Oh, yeah, location. The plus side of that, though, we're in a beautiful location in the mountains. Even though it's an hour away, we are about 3,000 feet higher, so much cooler. We don't get the 100-degree stuff. And every ride is a guaranteed private ride. Just you and the people you bring with you. No crowds. You won't see anyone but your guide.
Now, I've been horseback riding before. Why do I care that it's a private ride? Why does that mean anything to me?
Maybe it doesn't. I do get people who ask me, they seem to want to get away from the crowds.
There's no crowd. You go on a horseback riding thing, it's like 5, 10 people.
They still say it. I get a lot of calls where people say, I don't want a nose to tail ride. I don't want to feel like just another sardine in a can. Slap them on the butt, down the road, next.
Your competitors, are they doing that? Are they doing private rides?
No, my competitors aren't. My competitors
are they making a lot more money than you?
Way more money, yeah.
I'm just wondering, I don't understand what the deal with the private rides is.
The deal with the private ride is they were private anyway because just the number of people I was getting in reality. So I just went ahead and tried to just work that.
How much do you charge for a trail ride?
Depends on the ride. Our most common is just the hour-and-a-half ride, $60 per rider.
So when they call you on the phone and they say, hey, how much is a trail ride? And you say it's $60 per rider, or we have private rides where it's just your party for $100 a rider. What do you think would happen if you did that?
I would have a certain amount of people would hit me up on that. I don't know if a large amount would.
But some people would say, okay, I'll take the 100. Maybe they say, oh, well, I don't want to pay that much. So then you say, well, when do you want to go? I want to go tomorrow at 4. Oh, well, that'll be private anyway because we don't have anybody booked for that. Great. Boom. But if you say we have groups for 60, a certain amount of people might just say, oh, I'll take the private. Boom. Done. Whether it was going to be private or not. They just
even before I offered it, when I was super busy years ago, yeah, I would still get that. And we'd offer it if they asked and, pay more. We've done that.
So why don't you do it now?
I guess just out of desperation.
But all you have to do is say, hi, John. How you doing? When would you like to go trail riding? Oh, tomorrow? Great. Well, would you like a group ride or a private ride?
Most people don't call me also. Most people actually book on the website. They book online.
Do you have an option for private ride?
I could. I don't. Right now, it just says they're all private.
Do you know why airlines have first class?
Yeah, well, partially. I don't know. You tell me.
There's always somebody that wants VIP. Doesn't matter if it was available or if it's available, they want it. There's certain people that if there is an availability for VIP, they will take it just to take it because they just want VIP, end of story. So if you give them that option, immediately, whether it would have been private or not, they'll take it. There's going to be a certain amount of people that'll take it. Does that make sense? Right off the bat, you can make more money just by adding that option. Even if they're all private rides anyway, you just put the option on the website and then people will be like, oh, I want a private ride. Now you're getting $100 per hour rather than 60. Dude, Americans will overpay for anything. So that's number one. When you were doing rides and you were doing well, is that the time of year type of thing? Is it seasonal?
It is. It is going to be seasonal. We're open all year, and we have a certain amount come. Christmas is usually, even though it's snowy, there'll be a couple feet of snow on the ground, but we'll still take folks out.
How do you advertise? Tell me how you advertise right now. I'm going to Zion. Where's this at? Utah?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to go to Utah. I want to go horseback riding. What do I do? How do I find you?
That's the problem. For a while there, I was ranking #1 on Google for horseback riding Utah, or at least I was #3. I was on the first page.
Okay, how many listings do you have?
What do you mean by listings? Like
How many listings do you have on Google?
how many keywords?
No, how many listings? How many businesses show up? Okay, so there's this trick. So what's the name of your horse farm?
Rising K Ranch.
So you have Rising K Ranch, right? You create a duplicate listing. You change the name of the ranch slightly. You do that 4 more times. Now you have 5 listings. So if you get ranked for #1, but you could also get ranked for #2, #3, #4, and you could dominate. This is a little SEO trick people do. They create multiple listings. They rank them all so that on the first page of Google, if there's 10 listings, half of them are you. They're just slightly different names, and they all have a Google Voice number that goes to the same number. It's a little dirty trick, but people do it.
When you say listing, would that be like
It's like you're saying it's a whole nother ranch, but it's not.
on Google Maps, though? That's where these things are being run now.
Yeah.
Or are you talking about making whole new websites too?
No, it's just a Google Map listing.
Because it's going to say, is this on Google Maps now? The way they've changed it now, they don't even have Google My Business. It's all run from Google Maps. So if I try to create a duplicate, it would have to be at a totally different location from where I really am.
No, how big's your ranch?
Oh, it's 20 acres. I mean, it's a location, just like a store would be.
20 acres. Can't you just say it's like
5 feet away, do something like that. Drop a pin a little bit.
Look, I'm not telling you to do that. I'm just saying a lot of people do that and it works. But I don't think that's going to be the main thing here, because you need to get people to your ranch without relying just on SEO and whatnot. That's definitely going to help. Let me ask you this. When you get done with a ride, how do you leverage that happy rider to help your Google listing?
We get tons of 5-star reviews. I'll bet more than half of the people leave us a review, and it's always a 5-star review. And what happens is Peak, the company they book through, and they book through them whether they call me or not. I still put their information down. They'll get an email that reminds them, and all they have to do is click on it, and it leaves a Google review.
So these people that come in, and they give you these reviews, I would ask them at the end of every trail ride. I would even offer them something free to do it. I used to do this at a bar I used to own years ago. I say, if you go on Facebook and you check in to the bar, we'll give you a free Jell-O shot. So I would figure out something low cost that costs you almost nothing, a free spur or something, a memorabilia thing. For everybody that leaves us a Google review, we'll give you this free thing. So now you take that 50% and you potentially increase it. Here's the other thing. Do you have the phone numbers of every single person that has taken a trail ride?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you ever call or text these people?
No, the past people?
Yeah.
No, I don't.
Okay. So why don't you give a phone call to them, or at the minimum a text? Every day you just go through your list, you call them. Hey, this is Clay from whatever ranch. You had a horseback riding experience with us 3 months ago. I was just wondering, do you know any of your friends who might be coming to this park that you could refer us to? Do you know anybody who's going on vacation here in the future? Birds of a feather flock together, right? You might find that they're coming back in a few months.
Well, we get repeat business too. I mean, sure enough.
Yeah, but how do you get the repeat business?
They just decide to.
They just decide to. You call them up. Hey, this is Clay. You wouldn't be happy to be coming back to Zion National Park. Oh, really? You'll get a 10% discount if you pre-book right now with us. Call them up, text them, pre-book. Sometimes people don't book with you because they forget. Oh, what was that ranch we went to?
Yeah.
So here's the other thing. Let me see. What's your website?
RisingKRanchTrailRides.com.
All right. So first off, do you get a lot of traffic to this website?
Yeah, several hundred a day.
Several hundred a day.
Yeah, I'm not Amazon or anything.
That's still
but
good. Several hundred a day. So this website sucks. Okay. This looks like somebody went back in time with Doc Brown and Marty McFly. You grabbed somebody from 1995 and asked them to build a website. Look at this. Look how tiny this text is.
Well, I did that for SEO purposes, but
For human purposes, it sucks. Okay. So right off the bat here, what do you want them to do when they go to this website?
learn about us and book a ride.
Oh, you want them to book a ride. So you have 15,000 different links right here. Horses for sale, all this stuff. Why don't you have a big picture or a big video and a big button that says, like a headline, visiting Zion National Park, book your ride. And they click on it and boom, it goes right to a booking calendar. I want to book a ride with you. Okay, I'm on your website. All right, how do I book a ride? There's like 1,000 things. Okay, this little button right here, book a ride. So I click on book a ride. That should be bigger, bolder. That should be huge. Cedar Trail ride, half day ride, mountain ride. Okay. Well, now I got to click on these things to understand how much they are and what they are. Let me see your Instagram. Okay. So you got like hardly any followers.
And that's a big mystery to me. I don't know how to get the followers on it. I have no idea what to do there, and I've tried on that.
So you need to create reels with hashtags around Zion National Park. So if I go to reels here, so you got this reel, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Nothing said. Okay, so I see Utah.
That one wasn't about the park. That was more of a horse training one.
You want to train horses, or you want to get like, what do you want here? Like these what are these reels?
Those ones should have more of the hashtags on them.
How many things are there to learn about riding a horse?
A million. I mean, depends what you want to do.
Great, a million, fantastic. So what you do, you pick one, you take your phone. While you're on the horse ranch, your phone, not a professional camera, and you go, you see this here? When you're riding a horse, this is called the blah, blah, blah. And if you don't do this right, you're going to fall off the horse and get your head smashed. Okay? If you're visiting Zion National Park, happy to take you on a horse trail ride, blah, 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 right? You make it educational. You make it something people would want to share. If there's a trick a horse can do, check out this horse trick, and you do the horse trick. Check this out, right? Something that people would really enjoy watching, okay? There are people that have millions of views because they're like doing cooking recipes. They show, hey, you want to make this cake? You put this much in, you put that much in, you do this, you do that, blah, blah, and it's a reel, and it gets millions of views. You got to give them something that they care about. Nobody cares about, what is this? Like, what is this reel here? What is this? First of all, it's not vertical. You're behind, you look like you're trying to like snipe this guy or something. What is this? What value does this give?
None. That one has some. That one was actually for the owner of that horse. We're going to sell that horse for them.
Bro, it's just random shots of a horse. Like, it does nothing for me. Teach me one thing about a horse right now.
All right. Keep your heels down and sit back deep in the saddle so you don't get sore or fall off.
Now, what happens if I don't do that?
If you don't do that, you are going to be sore and or are going to get thrown forward.
So have somebody grab the phone and point it at you on the horse. You look at the camera and you say, here's how to never fall off a horse and how to not be incredibly sore after riding one. All you have to do is put your heels down and your feet forward like this, and you're showing. And it's like, when you do this, here's why this will prevent you from getting sore and falling off. Do it like this, okay? If you're visiting Zion National Park and you'd like to take a horse ride, comment Zion below. Now here's what you do. You ask them to do an action, to comment the word Zion or whatever. And when they do, you reach out to them and you say, hey, are you planning a trip to Zion National Park? Would you like to book a horse ride so that it's all taken care of when you get there? You start putting this content out, you put hashtags for Zion National Park, Zion horse riding, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then I might even take this right here and I might call this
Zion horse rides or something.
Yeah,
right?
like Zion horse rides, Zion National Park horse rides, or Zion horse trails. Call it that. And then go find all the content on Instagram about Zion National Park and comment on it and just give value. What it sounds like though is your main issue is you're not getting foot traffic. You're too far away. So people have to book you online.
Yeah, there is no foot traffic. You have to drive on a dirt road for about 10 minutes. We're not in a tourist area. We're in a pretty area.
Where are the hotels at?
15 minutes away in Cedar City. You kind of go around, let's say you go off those dirt roads and around a hill, and then Cedar City's got plenty of hotels.
Do the people who stay in Cedar City, do they take your horse rides?
Not as often. It's mostly the Zion people, and they're down in Springdale about an hour south, and that's where most of their hotels are going to be, is in that area.
They're more likely to book?
They're more likely to book and just go ahead and take the hour drive on up to see me.
Are all these hotels corporate or any of them private?
Well, no, there's definitely lots of B&B kind of things.
Have you reached out to the owners of these Airbnbs and the owners of these?
Yeah, I've handed them all flyers, offered them rides, come out and ride with me for free so you know where we are. Most of them won't take me up on it, though. I need to do something to get them to actually come out and
Why
ride.
do I care to go take a free horse ride so I know where you are if I'm the owner of a hotel? What does that do for me?
I don't know. I'd assume they'd want to go on a horse ride at some point.
No one cares, bro. No one cares to go ride on a horse. They want money. Have you considered offering them like a fee, like a percentage?
I could set something like that up for a referral. I've never done that yet.
I would say, how would you like some extra revenue for your hotel? If you can book them at your front desk, if you can put us on your concierge list or whatever, we'll pay you XYZ because you're paying a percentage of sales you never would have had. The other thing you could do, if you want to get real nasty, do you have some sort of transport vehicle?
I could get one. We could make something happen.
Have you ever considered, because they do this in Vegas, they do this in Orlando, They do this here in Costa Rica. You roll up to the hotels and the airports and you just have this big van that says private horseback riding, and you can like schedule shuttles and stuff. Have you ever tried that?
I have not tried that. That would be a whole extra lot of stuff to put together. I'm not
Yeah,
saying
it would, because you'd have to buy another vehicle if you don't have one. How do your competitors get more sales?
Honestly, it's just the plain fact that they're on the highway. They're right there, and there's 6 million people going by them every year. A certain percentage will stop.
In your best year where you had a lot, what was going on that you had a lot? What was the difference? Was it the Google listings?
Well, there's kind of a little bit of a story here, but I was training a horse. I got thrown off and got my skull broken. My brain was bleeding and all that kind of junk. And it knocked me out for a few months. So it took me a while to get things back together. That year, even while I was down, like my eyes were black, black, black. I couldn't open my eyes. Whatever. That year, I had enough of a team. That was the best business year I ever had. But I did fall behind on some SEO things. And finally, over time, I got bumped down, bumped down, bumped down. That and the fact that in 2021, everything was still shut down. There wasn't a whole lot people could do.
Yeah, but are your competitors still doing good?
Yeah, they still are. So that's why I don't want to just go there. Yeah.
What I'm hearing is you let your employees run the business while you were messed up, and your business did better, correct?
It continued to do good.
Without you.
I was losing traction and not knowing it, I think, on some things.
You were losing new customers, but they were running it just fine, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so they can run it just fine without you. Is that correct?
As far as actually taking rides and stuff, oh yeah, I don't hardly ever actually.
But why do you think your business did the best when you were in a coma or whatever?
Just because there was so much business already going on, I had already set up. For example, the video ideas you're talking about, put your heels down. I actually have made those videos. They're on YouTube. I need to do what you said there. But those kind of things were ranking really high at the time.
What you're telling me is that you were promoting on YouTube, you were doing some stuff that was getting you traction, that was getting you bookings, that was getting you attention. You got messed up, you couldn't do it, and that's what lost you the traction?
I think so.
Do you have anybody else that could do that type of content for you on the ranch?
No.
Nobody. You don't have like a cowgirl or something that is probably easier to look at than you? This is why I grew up in Florida. Okay, so man, this is a tough one. Here's what I see. You're in a bad position. You're on a ranch that is way far away. You can't get foot traffic. Your only option is to get online attention, which means YouTube, Instagram, and your SEO. Okay. And so that's all you got, man, is your online. But it also sounds like you're good at online.
I'm not awful at it. I've been back into it again and doing it. And the rankings are sure enough coming back up. There's some things I'm ranking really well for.
Is this your main business model? Is horseback riding for this place?
Yeah.
Why? Why did you choose this?
It's a good question that I don't know anymore.
Why did you create a friggin' ranch 100 miles away from where people are and make the primary business model horseback riding?
Oh, well, we are in a really good place. The ride is very pretty.
Great. I can go in the Costa Rican mountains here and go horseback riding and it'll be pretty, but not if I have to take a helicopter to get there. Like, nobody's going to do it. You know, like they're going to go where they can easily get to it. So like, I'm just wondering why you decided to do this in the first place.
It was what I knew how to do. I was in a position where I was tired of working for other people. I had worked cattle ranches, and there's not really a big income future in that, in being a cowboy. And I worked at some other places that do this. The guy I was working for, he came to me in December. I had one child. I have 3 now, but I had one child at the time who was a year old, and he says, well, winter's pretty tight. You can live on $800 a month, right? And that was kind of the last straw for me. It was like, I just can't keep, working for somebody else.
Did you buy this ranch?
No, my parents own the land. They have for a long time, for about 20 years.
And you're running it because they're too old or what?
Well, my parents didn't buy it as a ranch. They just bought land. I built the barns and round pens and things.
And you don't
like
make any money from anything else. You don't make money from selling horses or nothing.
Yeah, that and train outside horses. I train horses for people, like that one that was just randomly walking through the pond.
You want to know what I would do if I were you?
What?
I think this is a losing battle. What I'm hearing is the only way for you to get people out here to horseback ride is to go hard on like Google SEO, websites, and all this stuff. But here's what happens when they do book. How much are you making for one ride?
Typically about $300 probably. There's 5 people.
Yeah, $300. Like that's nothing. The amount of time and expense it'll take you just to make 300. And how many horseback rides do you get per week?
Yeah, well, when I was doing good, I would probably get about $1,200 a day, 6 days a week. That was when I was doing good.
And when you were doing good, that's when you had a high ranking on Google.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then why haven't you woken up in the morning, had your coffee, and spent every second of every day working on getting that Google ranking back?
Well, I have been lately, thanks to, again, I've been following you for a little bit. I read your book about that circle of focus deal. But basically, that's why. I was trying to train horses, go and get hay, feed everything, keep things watered, train outside horses for clients, keep my own going.
Got too much going on. Everything's too spread too thin.
Yeah, so...
You know what I would do if I were you, man? I'd go high ticket. I would do weddings at your ranch. I would do horseback ranch experience weddings. Because now, when you get a customer, you're getting tens of thousands of dollars. People love that stuff. I have friends that they did a zombie wedding. Everybody was covered in blood, and the bride had a white dress on and she's covered in blood. Weirdest friggin' crap I ever seen. But people will do horseback weddings. They'll pay tens of thousands of dollars for that. All this effort that you're putting into your Google and all that, you're doing it so that when you get a customer, you're making $300.
Yeah, it's just not enough to...
Let me ask you this. Even if you got slammed again, would it be enough to survive?
Yeah, but my goal would be to transfer over. I had a different high ticket idea in mind. My goal is just to get back on my feet again and use the money to do this other thing.
What's the other thing?
I would have like you ever heard of glamping? Like canvas tents with beds in them and all that. Set up glamping tents for people to stay in. And instead of a ride, they would have a 3-day experience. In fact, my website has it on it. You could read about the cow horse experience or the cow horse camp. I haven't had a customer on it yet. I haven't set it up yet, but the idea is there. Stay for 3 days, learn how to ride. I'd spend a day teaching them the one part of the event, the reining, spend the next day teaching them the basics of herd work and boxing, and then the next day after that, kind of putting everything together.
How many people out there you think would take 3 days to come and learn how to ride horses?
I think there's a huge market out there for that.
So number one is a 3-day horse camp. I like it. Okay. How much would you charge for that?
I think $5,000 a person.
Okay, I like it. So that means that all this effort you're putting into your socials, you could literally be like, hey, do you want to become an amazing horse rider in just 3 days? Come to our 3-day horse boot camp. And then you have them schedule a call. We'll go over it with you on the phone. We'll tell you everything you get. And on that call is where you close them on the $5,000 deal. So you have that. You could do weddings. You do horseback experience weddings. What you want to do is if you're too far away from the destination, you want to make your place the destination.
Well, that's what the glamping would be about. Right?
Or the wedding, or the camp.
Yeah. I mean, the glamping for the cow horse camp, like for that part of it. So they have a place to stay on the ranch. That's
Make
right.
that the whole thing. Make that all part of it. And then you know what I would do? I'd reach out to schools and I'd be like, hey, we have this 3-day camp for kids. I would reach out to all kinds of different organizations that might be interested in this. The other thing you could do is you could reach out to if you were going to do the wedding, then you could reach out to wedding planners.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're interested in the wedding thing.
No, I'm way interested. There's a lot, like, that's just a brand new idea to me. But I've actually had at least 2 or maybe 3 people call me out of the blue asking me if I would do that and have a wedding there.
Shocking. You know how much people waste on weddings? I'm not a believer in wasting. To me, a person that spends tens of or hundreds of thousands of dollars on a wedding is a moron, because you could literally take that and invest it for your family's future. You're basically spending it on a party. But you know what? If I had a wedding business, I'd take their money and I'd give them the wedding of their dreams. Okay? But seriously, what's to prevent you from doing weddings?
Nothing. I mean, I could go make it happen. I'm working on a building right now, actually. That would be a really good headquarters for that.
All you would need is one wedding, and you could hire a guy to come and take all this amazing B-roll. You talk about reels? Dude, you post slow-mo reels of a bride giddying up on her horse down the aisle. That'll get hundreds of thousands of views. Hundreds of thousands of views. That'll get you a ton of attention, because nobody does that. I think what you need to focus on, man, you got to really look at the next 5 years. You got to say, okay, even if I did spend all day getting my Google rankings back, and even if I did max myself out on horseback riding for $300 a pop, is that going to make you the type of money you want to make?
No, it would give me money to go and invest in making the money I want to make.
Why are we trying to do that? Why are we not focusing on the thing that'll make you the money? Let's make a decision today. Are we going to do weddings, or are we going to do this camp thing? And here's how you make that decision. You ask yourself, who do you have more access to? People who would do the camps, or people who would want to do weddings right now? Who's easier for you to get a hold of?
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know yet. Offhand, I kind of feel like the wedding thing, because I'm in Utah and everybody gets married by the time they're 20, you know, with a lot of money to back them up. So the wedding thing seems like a
lot of people will come to Utah to get married too.
I don't know about that, but I know that the wedding is it's a big thing here.
Here's what I would do. I would go Google and I would find every single solitary wedding photographer in your area. When people do wedding photography, generally a bride and groom will reach out to them way before they've got everything super planned. They'll be getting their things together and they'll do an engagement shoot. I would go make friends with tons of different wedding photographers. And I'd say, hey, we have a ranch. We do a very interesting experience. It is a ranch wedding. If you have any clients that you think would be interested in this, keep us in mind. I will give you a cut if you refer it. So now it's like in their head. And as they start talking to their clients, you might find that they have somebody interested. And they get on the phone with you and you close them on this horse wedding, okay? The biggest thing that you're gonna have to deal with is the first wedding. Because if you don't have any photos, if you don't have any proof of it, it's going to be tough. You want to get a wedding there.
We could stage a wedding, and I have a good camera, and we could stage a wedding. That wouldn't be...
Okay, that's money though. What I would do is I'd partner up with a wedding planner, because they're going to be able to like stage that.
And show us how we want to organize things, because I have no idea.
So I'd bring in a wedding planner and I'd say, hey, give your clients a unique experience and make a deal with them. Say like, help me plan a staged wedding. I'll pay for the materials and I'll give you a cut of the weddings you bring in. It's going to be hard to get that first wedding in there, but when you do it, you'll have photos. You want to take as many photos and videos as you possibly can. Are you married?
I am, yeah.
All right, why don't you just get remarried to your wife and do a ranch
I know,
wedding?
I was thinking that. She still got the dress. I mean...
She'll love it. You'll get huge husband points. Just remarry your wife and do a wedding.
I thought of that as we were talking there. It could just be that way.
All right, man. I hope this was helpful. Email me back in 30 days and let me know how it goes.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, thank you very much. And if you're ever out in Utah way for some reason...
An hour away from Zion.
If you're ever an hour away from Zion, let me know.
I might take you up on that if I'm out that way. I appreciate it, man. I do. All right.
You bet.